And the only person I ever dated was Steve Austin.
Okay.
That was over a year into being in WWF.
Your first impressions of Steve Austin, how did you first run into him?
I remember at a few shows, he came up, introduced himself, and I thought he was sort of snobby.
Right.
So I was like, oh, nice to meet you. And then I was like, I'm not going to talk to him because he's so full of himself.
Huh.
Blah, blah, blah. And then he just kept picking at me, and then it was like a year into me working there, and he was giving Christian a hug. And I remember I walked by, and I was like, oh, were you going to give me one too? And he hugged me, and I don't know. It was, we
Sparks a little.
Isn't that weird?
Right.
Yeah, and then we started flirting, and then we're trying to kayfabe it, but you know, everyone knows when you're doing something. You're like kids in the family; they know when something's off of your norm, and they would see him on the phone and me on the phone at the same time, look at each other.
Right.
They figured it out.
Wow. Did any of the other boys ever hit on you in the locker room when you first came over there?
Let me think. I think they tried. I'm trying to remember. I think they tried at first. I think they do that to see if you're going to play around.
Right.
And yeah.
Stuck to your guns.
Yeah, you don't. What's that Southern saying? You don't mess where you
I know
eat or whatever that is.
Did you ever have to find laundromats on the road, or was it?
Oh, this is so funny. Steve Austin was fixated on us going to laundromats.
Right. How would that work out for you guys?
I used to hate that. It used to embarrass me. I'm like, Steve, why do we have to go to the laundromat? I mean, we can bring enough clothes on the road. But no, he wanted to go to the laundromats. And then we would just be a ruckus. And there, everyone staring at us and asking for autographs. And
I'll ask you about like lifestyle with Steve. You know, coming up, I got a lot of questions regarding that. Is it true that you were the original diva that showed the puppies, the so-called puppies?
Yeah. That's me. That's right. The puppies. That was the best investment I ever did.
I was going to ask you, did Lawler ever say anything that ever offended you, or
no.
It all helped your character get over it?
No, it helped it. Even to this day, people get embarrassed when they said that. The puppies, and I go, yeah.
Right.
But no, it's fine.
Did you ever turn down an angle? I mean, that you might have thought was offensive or made you feel uncomfortable? Because you said before they would ask you if anything, you know, you're cool with it, going out there. And
I think one time they asked me to do something with my bra, and I didn't want to do it. And
right.
They were cool about it. That's fine.
That's cool. Did you like turning?
Because one thing about me, I turned down Playboy before.
What happened with that? Why was that?
Actually, Charlie Besser, my friend, and he had it set up that I could do Playboy. They were going to pay me $500,000.
Wow.
I know that sounds.
Why'd you turn it down?
Well, I was married to Steve Austin.
And he said no?
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to be killed right there on the spot. And I wanted to so bad, but I knew he would go out.
Wow.
Now, if they would have just called me a year before I met him, then I would have done it in a second.
That was one of my questions, but yeah.
Oh, I would have done it and who knows? You never know.
Wow.
I would still love to do Playboy.
Make the call. Let's talk about, I guess, your relationship with Steve. You said, you know, it started off innocent flirting and stuff like that, and then how did it develop into an actual full-fledged relationship?
I think he kissed me after that, and then, boy, he's a handsome man.
Right.
Got a good body, too. Yeah, and it was just, we had good chemistry.
Now, does the office have any, I guess, rules where you're not supposed to intermix business, or was it pretty much you guys were allowed to do whatever?
I really think in the business, I don't think they like when someone crosses the line. I think they have more of an issue when people just sleep with all the guys. You know,
right.
I would see a lot of girls come in and they'd be so pretty with potential, and then they just would freak out and just sleep with all the guys, and then they wouldn't last and be gone.
I've heard a couple of different girls.
Yeah, and it's sad. It's like, yeah, you just...
Right. Now, as far as Steve, were you guys traveling together?
Once we were... Then I stopped traveling with Tess and Valvinus, and then I started traveling with him.
Now, how difficult was that? Because he was on top of the game, and, you know, you talked about going to the laundromats. What was that like, traveling with Steve?
Like being with Elvis.
How did he handle it personally?
No, and actually I learned a lot from him, too, on how you're so personable to your fans because they make you, and he was always real cordial to his fans. And he could drive like a maniac. So many times after a show, the fans would follow us, and he would fly down the road like 100 miles an hour, and then he would just whip it around in the medium to go the other way just to lose the person, or go just take off on a side ramp.
Wow.
So he was a good... Actually, he never would scare me driving because I knew he had like quick reactions.
Right.
So I knew he was always in control.
What was his schedule like? I mean, he was on top of the world. He had to do PR for the company. I mean, how tiring did that get him?
He could be picky at what he did. I knew he was offered a lot of movie roles and stuff he would turn down. I'm like, Steve, give it to me.
Right.
But no, seriously, he was real picky at what he would choose to do.
Going to restaurants and hotels, how did you guys deal with all the fans? And
Well, yeah, it was unbelievable. And he was really good at signing autographs and taking pictures. And
right.
the only thing I hated, one time we were going to a show, and I had a Burger King that day. I love Burger King cheeseburgers.
Right.
And we got on the plane. I started getting sick at my stomach. Now imagine being married to Steve Austin, sitting in first class. You know, we sort of stand out, especially Steve with that bald head and those glasses.
Right.
And all of a sudden I got sick as a dog, like throwing up in the plane. And I was so embarrassed because everyone was staring at me. Like, I was throwing when people were getting on the plane. And I was just going, oh, man, someone just shoot me now because here's everyone staring at me because I know it's Steve. And here I am throwing up in the little bag on the plane.
Right.
I have nowhere to go. I was so sick that day. But that was not fun to be married to Steve Austin then because everyone was, when you're really nauseous like that and you're being stared at.
Any obsessed fans ever like have any problems like at hotels where they would knock on your doors? And
Oh yeah, that would happen a lot. Knocking on the doors, and or either we would have room service and then they would bring in about 10 people.
Did he ever like blow up, or
No.
did he ever tell you can't deal with the fame? I mean, here he was on top of.
No, he would always sign autographs and just be, yeah, he was really good to his fans. I learned a lot from him on how you just that whole fan interaction.
Right. I guess when you got the offer from Playboy, was the office for you or against you to do that?
Oh, we didn't even get that far.
Oh, they didn't. Okay.
Like he got the deal, and then I thought about it, and I just said, no, I can't do this, Charlie. I have to turn it down. I go, because Steve, it wouldn't even. I mean, yeah, they would have been. It wasn't even going to go that far because I knew Steve would have killed me. I couldn't have.
Right.
Man, I regret that. I wanted. I'm like, oh boy, they would have made me look good. They would have airbrushed everything.
All right, back to Steve. Was he married, I guess, when you guys were dating, or?
No.
Okay, single. Okay.
No. I was actually his third wife.
Okay. What was it that, I guess, made you fall in love with him?
He's so funny. Well, he's very handsome. He's built a lot like my first husband. Steve McMichael is in, the body size, and I'm very attracted to real big guys, and he's 6'3", same built with big legs, and just so funny, quick-witted, very entertaining.
I guess in retrospect, were you more attracted to a stardom or him personally?
No, I think that added in there with it too because I was used to being married to someone famous, and that felt comfortable to me.
Right.
I mean, that all played in part of the recipe.
Right. How different is Steve away from the ring?
He's Steve. In the ring, out of the ring, that's Steve.
No ego, or does he have an ego?
Yeah, he's got ego.
Does he?
Yeah.
I guess, what was the best career advice that he gave you?
I think the way the fans, on how much energy he would give back to the fans. And that really stuck. It was, I noticed that a lot, and to this day I still copy that after him.
Right.
And his movements in the ring. I remember I used to always watch his movements, and to this day I'm more clumsy now. I think how he moves around and falls around, and I think I picked up some of that when I would work with the belt. Like I would, can't help but mimic some of his behavior because, I was married to him. But I remember when he had his neck surgery, I don't know if you guys knew this, I trained with him in that ring. We had a ring delivered to our ranch.
I heard about that. I heard he had a ring.
Good gosh. And I was the one working with him.
Huh. Wow.
Oh, that was...
So you were pretty much his crash test dummy?
Yeah. I had bruises all over me. Because he was miscalculating on how to hit me in the corner, and he had those knee braces on. And there's, a few times he would pull some ribs on me.
Right. How much did he love the business back then? When you were married to him, I mean...
Oh, he loved it. Just loved it. Would eat, drink, and sleep it. Loved it.
Did you ever sense any of the problems between him and Vince or the office at all?
I didn't really pay attention.
Right.
I think it was, anytime with business, and Steve has such a strong personality, I think I didn't really pay attention. Because he's always hollering on the phone, so you don't really know who.
Right.
And he was always talking to these, to Vince and to JR. And
he had a close relationship also with Bret Hart, too, I believe, right? Were they friendly at all?
I didn't see him. He was on the phone a lot to JR and to Vince, unless he talked to Brett when I was, I'm sure, he would talk to a lot of the guys, but, on a regular, I know he knew, that.
Who was his friend in the business, as far as, like, guys, that he would travel with, besides you, obviously? And JR, he had
before I started dating him, he traveled alone. He liked to travel alone.
I mean, did he have a close friend in the business besides JR?
No, I think JR was his
top
buddy.
friend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, I knew he'd talk to Kristen, and he would talk to Eddie, and he would talk to Chris. He liked those guys.
But I guess because he was a top guy, he had to be careful too.
You have to watch your back.
Right.
Yeah.
What was his relationship like with Vince?
Good.
Did they have a good relationship, or
very similar personalities.
Right.
Yeah,
that could be a good thing or bad.
You don't want to cross either one
right.
of them.
Did Steve have a lot of, political freedom with his character?
He did.
Tell us about that. I mean,
I just knew he just pretty much controlled his character. If he didn't want to do something, he didn't do it.
Did you ever see any of the headbutting between him and Vince?
Well, yeah, that day we left. He didn't want to put over Brock.
What happened with that?
Well, all I knew was Steve was mad, and again, that goes with him ranting and raving, but I didn't really pay a lot of attention. And then when he just walked out, and he was like, "Well, are you coming or are you staying?" And I was going, "Oh my gosh, if I stay, he's going to kill me." I mean, that was at the end of our marriage, and I was like, "Oh man, there's no way." So we were at the airport, and I went into the bathroom, and I called JR's secretary, and I was like, "Please, you've got to get in touch with JR. You got to have him call Steve because he is booking, he is leaving." And I said, you guys need to know you're about to put on a live show, and Steve's not going to be there. So then JR got him on the phone right before he got on the plane. And
was Steve at any point maybe contemplating about going back to the arena, or was he pretty much dead set?
He's dead set.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. He didn't know I called either. That would have been a big fight. So but I felt like I had to give him heads up a little bit. I was like, the fans are there to see Steve. I wasn't quite I was in the center.
Right. Did Vince treat you any different when you started dating Steve at all?
No.
Or?
He always treated me with respect and very, very nice to me.
Okay.
The whole family, none of it changed from when I was with Steve or before Steve.
When you said you went on the private jet with Vince, who else was on the jet with you guys?
It would be Stephanie and Hunter and the writers. Who else? Dwayne.
Right.
The Undertaker.
Wow. Must have been a fun plane ride.
Yeah, we always had the good seats too. The riders they were like these two long seats that they face each other, and they would be. And JR would be on there too, and then Linda sometimes, and Vince
Would they conduct business meetings on the plane rides, or?
I'm trying to remember if they would.
Maybe not, because there's so many different characters there. And...
No, I don't remember. I would just sort of sit there and Steve's just talking away, so I can't.
Right.
Yeah.
How soon did you and Steve get married after you started dating?
We started dating, I think, about in May of '99, and then he talked them to let me off to take care of him when he had the neck surgery. I think that was back in September. So I would say from May till September we dated and then got married.
That was pretty quick. 4 months, 5 months maybe?
Yeah, it was pretty.
Wow. Did things change once you got married?
Yeah.
How did things change?
Not for the good.
Right.
Yeah, Steve just got a little bit more aggressive with his personality.
Do you think... Go ahead.
No, it was just, it was, he'd never... So that was really difficult because I'm working now, married to him, and then, the domestic abuse, because the last time when the police were called, when he was arrested, that was the third time. And I'm not a really big woman, and it's just, it was just time. I had read up on it, and it was getting a little bit out of hand. Now I'm doing, speaking to schools about domestic violence and all that, so.
So after the last time, was that pretty much you guys were through at that point in time? I mean, did you guys have any contact?
Actually, we got back together for a little bit, and then during his court time, because I were ready to throw the book at him. They were ready to, put him in jail. And so I was sort of being supportive of him so they wouldn't throw the book at him.
Right.
And
looking back, are you glad you were helping him a little bit, or do you think that kind of
No, and I think back, I was in such a state, I didn't know what I was doing. Because then that's part of when you're abused, you're in a cycle. And again, it happens, you know, I'm just talking about women, it can happen to, you know, a woman beating a guy or, you know, whatever. It can be gay couples, it can be whatever. It's whatever the cycle that goes around, and it's because you just can't get out of it.
Right.
But that's when I had to go and say, this is it, I'm done. You know, I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to lose my marriage, I'm going to lose my husband. But I don't want to get hurt anymore.
So when you guys finally, I guess, decided to split, how did that come about?
No, Steve served me a divorce.
Okay.
2 days after he got out from the court.
Wow. There you go. You think he was setting that up, just waiting for it?
Yeah.
How did you take it?
Oh, well, I knew, you know what? I knew things when it was, but I couldn't leave him when he was in his court.
Right.
Because I knew they would throw the book at him. I knew he would serve jail time because they would make a mark out of Steve, you know, so, as in a point.
Right.
I said, yeah.
Right.
So, he just beat me to the gun.
Was it hard working there when you came back? For you, in WWE? Or were you pretty much already done at this point?
No, we never, when I walked out with Steve, that was
your last time?
That was it.